welcome back. Hey, today we have an item from our sponsor Teslaunch that they've sent us. It is, at least what they call it here, is a daytime running light. And where that's designed to go is right here on the Cybertruck between, oh, it's focusing on my finger, between the headlights in that area that just has the black strip where you would have the place where you reach up and touch the button to open the frunk. So that goes in there. I know that the first generation of these had an issue that when wired in would cause a buzzing, I believe, in the passenger side B-pillar speaker, or somewhere from over on the passenger side. Teslaunch has assured me that this is supposed to be the second generation product that does not have that problem. They've also assured me that if they send it to me, which this took about a month to get, by the way, here we are in mid-July, and we were speaking back in mid-June when it was first sent. But they've assured me that if this arrives, I install it, there's a speaker buzz, I can send it back, and they will send me yet another one that would alleviate that problem. So hopefully this one is, not the one with the issue. And I'm going to take a few minutes to get all this tape and binding off the box, and then we'll open it up and see what's inside of here, and then we'll start the installation process. So stay tuned. Okay, I have the box open. Let's take a look and see what we've got inside of here. Here is the light unit itself, packaged nicely. Oh, look, they gave me some little gloves to install it with. I don't know how many pairs of those things I have laying around, but let's pull this out a second. We'll just kind of pull it up and look at it. Looks like we've got, this is interesting. I don't know what that is yet. The light itself, and then we have some instructions in here. So I'm going to actually take a few minutes to look those over. Always a good idea to look over the instructions. Let me pull up the light itself. So here's the light. I'll set that down on top of this pad I pulled out. See what else is in here. Looks like we have one of those wiring harnesses. This one appears to have, well, somebody had said something about a pink wire or something that I read online. I see pink there. I also see some pink and black there. So I'll have to look at the instructions. We've got more wires here, I'm assuming to tap into the 48 volt system that's in the frunk area. Got some electrical tape, got a little wrench, and of course a handy dandy plastic pry tool, which I seem to be collecting by the dozens these days. So let me pause this for a moment, get the instructions back out, take a read through those, and then we'll get started. Okay, I've had a chance to look over these instructions thoroughly about what needs to be done. This is actually a tool to help poke the wire that you have to go from the cabin into the frunk, as depicted in the instructions. So now I know what that's for. And of course I looked at where all the various different wiring harness pieces need to attach to. So one thing I thought of is I really don't want to take everything apart, put all the new stuff in, put it all together, and then find that I've got a speaker buzz or something doesn't work right. So I think what I'm going to do is I am going to follow the instructions. I'm going to remove all the frunk plastic pieces. I'm just going to run the wire outside the truck and in the door so I can patch it in, hook everything up. First, make sure that it works. I don't have to put the piece in place yet. Make sure that everything works, climb in, play some music, maybe do a phone call or something, listen to the speaker and see if I hear any buzzing. And if everything seems fine, then I'll button everything up. So the first step in the instructions and what we'll get started on here in just a moment is we're going to have to remove this frunk liner, and that involves taking out this panel, taking out the top piece, getting the washer cap off, removing these pieces on either side, taking out the bolts that are underneath here that hold the bottom of this on, this other one on this side, and then of course this light has a little wire that's plugged in on the back for that switch. You're gonna have to, as you pull this out, you're gonna have to reach in and disconnect that as well too. It also in their instructions mentioned powering the truck down. It didn't say exactly how to do that. They might just mean doing that on the screen where you can turn the power off, and I'll go ahead and do that. Nowhere in their instructions did it talk about removing either the low power or the mid power connectors that I've of course had to deal with when I did the article about changing out the steering wheel. So it doesn't appear that those things are necessary from the instructions. I certainly hope not. But give me a minute. I'm going to start disconnecting some of this and we'll get into removing the areas of the frunk. I'll probably start with, I know the one that I typically do here is I take this one and it's got these easy plastic connectors underneath. I've pulled this off a couple of times. It's pretty easy to take out. You can see the pins here, pretty easy. And I'll get that out. And then again, connector wise, that's the low power and that's the mid power. Did not say that I had to disconnect either of those. But again, I do want to be cautious in what I'm doing since we are patching into the truck systems. I will go into the screen and power things down inside the truck. So let me do that and then I'll start pulling the rest of these plastic pieces off. Okay, so I've come back and I've taken the kind of little rubber collar around that and taken the cap off the washer fluid. I've also pulled out one of these connectors here. So as you can see, those things just go in and then they turn, I guess I would call it 90-degree turn to just kind of lock into place. So you can pull those out by hand. I mean, if you want to put a pair of pliers or something on it, you can. It's just all plastic, but wanted to show those pieces. So let's do that, and then I'll work on taking some of this out. So the next time I want to show you is I did take out my rubber mat and the piece that goes in between here that has the elastic that you can strap everything down with, and that does expose these 10mm bolts. So I've got my trusty ratchet here and I am going to take these 4 bolts out next. Okay, just quickly to show these out, I took those 2 bolts out. This piece, if you haven't put in this whole tie down piece from Tesla, these would just be plastic covers, but you can see that I've taken those out. So I've done it on this side, gonna do it on that side, and then we'll get this cover off. Okay, so I also used the pry tool to take that panel off. I don't know that I necessarily really had to do that. I just kind of wanted to do it so I could see if there was anything else underneath there I needed to disconnect. There really isn't, but what there is, however, is right here. I don't know how well you can see that. There's another 10mm bolt there, right by where the brake fluid goes. And then if we come over here, right by where this red wire is, there's another 10mm bolt. So let me get the ratchet on those and pull those out, and then I think at that point I will have everything disconnected that I can pull the plastic forward and then just have to get the wire that's connected to the emergency release. Okay, I have taken out those 2 upper bolts, and now sure enough this whole plastic piece is loose here, and if I pull it away I can get here on the back side and you can see that little connector. But I'm going to have to get in here and probably pinch. Yeah, it looks like. Or maybe put a little screwdriver in. Give me a moment to set the phone down, take a look at that exactly to see how I need to pinch that out of there to pull that out. But that's what we need to pull out in order to fully disconnect the front plastic. Okay, just briefly, I thought I would show this connector because really all I did was put a kind of a fingernail in the slot and that's all I did, put a fingernail in and pull, and this connector came out. So I don't necessarily see anything that you have to, push in on a clip or bend anything, etc. But just wanted to show the close-up of this. And again, I just put my fingernail in it. There's kind of like this little plastic rubberized piece right here. I put my fingernail in and pulled out, and this piece came right out and it disconnected easy enough. So that leaves us now with the whole open frunk, and a couple things we're wanting to identify. It looks like this side, this clip out of this light is something we're going to pull out and plug into another wire and tap into, as well as there's a wire and the piece for the latch right here coming out of this. That we're going to transfer over to the new light housing as well. So I've at least got to get this piece out so I can get at the wiring on the back side and disconnect this here momentarily so I can start patching in some of the wires to go run into the cabin and test everything out before, again, I hook absolutely everything up. Okay, I've now taken this piece loose by getting those 4 clips out, and you'll see that there is the wiring harness that goes to the soft switch here that, you know, if you were to reach your hand up, press the button, would open the frunk. So we just need to get this little wiring clip out here, and then I can just remove this piece. In the directions, this soft switch does need to be transferred over to the new light part. I'm not going to do it yet, just because, again, I want to test some things out. So I'll just leave this off to the side at the moment. And in fact, I guess I really don't need to do anything just at the moment. If I'm wanting to get a few things disconnected, or I really probably need to work on next, is getting this clip disconnected from the light. And it looks like this has a little piece that I need to pull out like that. So you see how I pulled that red plastic out a bit further, and then I can wiggle that connector out, and boom, that comes right out. So I'm going to go find the wiring pieces that connect into this, bring them back, and continue the video. Okay, and for the purposes of my testing, I went ahead and I set the new light just here inside the frunk, and exposed. There's the 2 wires that are 2 connectors that come out of the back side of it. One, it's kind of a white boxy fitting, and the other the black more rounded fitting. And then this is the wire that patches in at the headlight. So you can see the fitting on this end matches up with the type of fitting on this end. So what I need to do now is basically put this in stream like this, and then I will run this wire over to and connect it here. So give me a second to make the connections, and then I'll come back and show you what that looks like. Okay, so showing this wiring harness, you can see I have plugged it into, and there I just popped in the little gray fitting to hold it into the back of the light, and then here I have put the other 2 plastic pieces together. I can clamp that in. There we go. To secure that one, I can tuck that wire just kind of down out of the way at the moment. And then this wire will come over. And of course, I'm going to have to re-disconnect this to put that back into place, but I'm just doing this for testing purposes, right? So I've got this hooked up to the light. So now what goes into this other one is the long cable that will run up, go through there. Of course, I'm just going to run it outside the truck for now, and it's going to patch into what we have over in the passenger footwell. And again, that's kind of very similar to anything else that you've had to patch in there, maybe if you put on a rear view mirror or any other electronics. So we're going to have this wire is the one that's going to run from the back of that new light. And again, I'm just going to drape it outside the truck for testing purposes. It's going to go in and connect to this connector on the wiring harness. And these are the ones that are going to be plugged into like the computer and into that door power supply, like where my rear view mirror is. So I guess really what I need to do now is get that door open, get the side panels and the plastic all apart. I probably won't necessarily video all of that because I've done that for taking off the mirror. Or changing out the mirror. You can always refer to that video for details, but let me go get some of that apart so that I can at least patch in the wiring, and then we'll give everything a test. Okay, I want to come in here and talk about what I've done here for a moment. First off is that far back kind of light blue connector. I removed it, plugged it into what was plugged into there, into this white connector, and then the other end of that back into the ECU, into the computer. I found that using a little flat blade screwdriver to press in on the tab, made it really easy to pull that down. So that was the main connection there. Then the other connection was this piece over on the side. Now I already have another connector that goes for my backup mirror, so I just daisy chained this one in, but it's just a matter of removing the male and the female and slipping this one in line. So then that leaves us a couple of things. We see that we have this square box here. Maybe I'll capture that on video so you can compare it to any others that you purchase in terms of version, etc. And that leaves us this one wire here that we now need to connect in that patch wire that runs all the way up front to the light. So let me go do that real quick, and we should be about ready to test. Okay, I have now plugged this patch wire in here, and first off, I'll say this wire not very long, so I guess I am going to have to feed it through here. Figure out a way to feed it through at some point to get it up to the frunk, because notice when I come here, I've just got it running outside the truck at the moment. I had to pull the wire, or I had to pull the light over here a little bit to test that out. So I guess now it's a matter of let's go inside and power up the truck. I should be able to do that here. Yeah, we should start getting power. All right. Yeah, my mirror is on, so it just lit up, so that's good because it lit up when that door opened up, so that's still good as far as patching up power. Looks like we're listening to some Star Wars. All right, so I guess stepping on here, what does it say? Charge cables connected. Yes, I know it's connected. I'm just happen to be charging. So, all right, let's go turn on the lights a second here, and we will just tell lights to turn on. Yes, headlights manually set to on. Yes, I think I'm very well aware of that. Let's go see what that looks like out here in the truck, and sure enough, that light is on. So we do have success. So now let me go back in and turn the light off. See if that, and how does it compare brightness wise to these? I think that's a pretty good, it's maybe slightly brighter even. I think pretty good match. Let's go back in and we'll just turn the lights off. Since it's wanting to complain, I don't know why, we're plugged in, but let's go back to auto, which turn those lights off. Although that says they're on. Let's go take a look. Isn't this fun, getting in and out, following me around? Okay, we're still on because it's on auto. So now if I just shut the headlights off, we should expect to see that go off, right? Where's my headlights? Right here. Headlights off. Hop back out of the truck. Sorry if you're getting motion sickness from me carrying this around. And sure enough, that is out. So it does appear that everything works when wired up. Now the question, obviously I've got a little noise from underneath the octave valve there. Am I getting any hiss from the speakers? So let's go back. Let me see if I can figure out a way to do this. You know what? I'm going to pause a second. Okay, what I've done is I've turned the lights on and I've verified that it is on in front. I have then also cranked the volume just in case there was any like residual hissing or anything coming through. I'm not hearing anything. Okay, now I of course have I'm not playing any song, but I'm not getting any hiss when not actually playing any audio. So now let me try turning on the audio. And I mean, I'm hearing the music, but you know, I'm not hearing any hiss over that. So I think at this point it seems safe to button things back up and probably drive this around a bit and see how that is. So I'm going to stop this, put a few things back together, and then work on showing you how to transfer some of that stuff up in the frunk and get that light actually mounted into place. But looks like the connections are pretty good. I'm not hearing any hissing. My backup mirror is working, so it didn't interfere with the power going to that. You know, so I think at this point I'm all good. I'll be right back. Okay, well now that I've got the wiring and I actually want to run the real wire from here through the body panel and up into the frunk, what it says to do is to remove this rubber plug from the hole. So there's a little rubber plug right here. I took that rubber plug out of that hole, you know, right here in the door jamb. Then it said tape up the end of the wire to this long pole that they've given you, and that simply you're supposed to push this in and push that up in there, and that somehow, gosh, doesn't seem like it goes very far to me, you will be able to put that up into the frunk. That does not seem to want to go like hardly anywhere. So give me a few minutes. I've got another like wire fishing tool that I've used before, because this one already looks beat up. And that's a little bit of a sharp angle going around there. So I might grab my other tool and see if it works better. I'm going to fish it through all by itself first without any wire and see where it comes out. Okay, I've been messing with this for a little while, so I thought I better show it. This is my wire pulling tool that I'm using, as opposed to the white rod that was included, because there's no way the white rod, it's just way too thick to get it down in there, unless I'm not supposed to be using the rod. Anyway, that if you feed this through the hole and down at an angle, and what really helped me was I came and I actually put this flashlight inside this square area. I stuck it in there and shined the light up so I could see what I was shooting for. And once that I found that hole, then I was able to feed my wire pulling tool down through here from above. So the goal of that is to bring the wire in here, feed it up through the body so you're not having to go around this seal and this, you know, what could be kind of a sharp edge here, which I guess you could do in a pinch if you weren't successful in feeding this through. But to pull the wire up through here, and then at that point there's just like a little rubber piece that you poke through here that gets you up into the frunk. So I mistakenly thought that if you fed it in this hole that it would then go up to the frunk. That is incorrect. This hole is for getting it down to where the computer is. So I'm going to see if I can attach the wire to the other side and pull it up through that hole, because if I can, then I should be golden, because it's pretty easy to poke through the little rubber piece there and get it up into the frunk. All right, so we see success, but ultimately what worked best was simply to feed this wire with the fitting on it down into this cavity. I could kind of spy on it through this hole. In fact, you might want to take a screwdriver and shove it a little bit through that hole. Let me get my light back down here. And then ultimately, again, just bring it right out of this square where, again, I can plug it now into this fitting right here. So let me get that done. Okay, so now you can see that fitting is together, and that actually kind of tucks nicely into this rectangle, and I'm going to get this closed back up. But now the question is what to do with it from here, and that's actually pretty easy. We'll just take, and I don't even know that you need anything other than your finger at this point, because that's just a little rubber piece right there. See that? And if we just push that behind the rubber piece, we can get it all the way up front into the front. So I'm just going to set it there for the moment, because what I'm probably going to do is go get my tool and push it through this way. Or actually, you know, that might be a good thing to do with that white tool. That might be what they're saying. Use that nice long rigid one just to poke that up front. So in fact, I might pull that back out and give that a try. I'll tape it up to that tool and we'll push that through and then see where it comes out at. All right, but we've got the hard part done. Now, I guess there is the question about this. Do you just leave this done? And no, I think what I'll probably do here is that I'll probably cut a little notch into that rubber, you know, and that way that it's not right up against the metal edge. Not that I think this thing would bounce all around and fray or do anything like that, but you know, rather than just having it hang loose or whatever, I'll cut a little notch and put that through and then feed the wire right up that way. Okay, so in fact, I did attach it to that white tool. Got a little extra line here I can still pull through, but I pushed that tool trying to go about as straight as I could towards the front of the truck. And we come around here to the frunk, and what we find is, sure enough, the end of our tool right here. I can disconnect this and pull the rest of the line forward, get it connected, and start getting that light into place. So let me pause here a second, pull that wire through and get a few things cleaned up before we continue on. Okay, so the next thing I've done is use my plastic wedge tool to get the little tabs on either side. There's little clips that they're on either side of here. You just kind of pry them, span them outwards, and then you can remove the trunk latch switch from the faceplate, which is really all you need to do. I tried to remove this wire here, but that fitting just did not want to come apart. So I didn't want to mess with it, didn't want to break anything. So I thought I would just take this off of this panel, and then I will simply attach it to the new light. Okay, I've now clipped this in to the new light, and it's a matter of feeding the wires from the new light, I guess, through over here, as we'll put this into place, and I will have to get these 4 latches, or these pins, kind of into place. So I'm getting some thunder now. I'm going to feed those through on the back side, so I'm able to grab those. So give me a minute, I'm going to need both hands to do that, but I will get these fed through here and get this piece into place and be right back. Okay, so now that I have that front piece all clipped in and I ran the wires back underneath here, you can see I've connected both to the wire that runs over to the headlight tap and the wire that runs all the way up through here and down into our area there, and probably tuck that under just a little bit so it's not crimped or anything. When that plastic goes down, that should be perfectly fine. I guess why don't we test the button? Oh, I heard it beep, and sure enough, the frunk is closing, and it latches down. And then I see what people say to get to this button is a little hard now. Oh my gosh, they're right, because that plastic piece sticks way out. Come on. Wow. So that is something to note about this. Unless you got really tiny fingers, it's awful hard to get to that latch. Now, of course, you can open your frunk in a variety of ways on the screen with the app on your phone. But, oh my gosh, if you're wanting to get that button underneath there, my hands, and I don't have huge hands, that's really tough to get into there. So anyway, I'm going to stop the video now and open my frunk, I guess, on the screen. All right, so I'm just testing the lights before I button up the all the frunk plastic, and sure enough, that definitely works and gives you the light beam now all the way across. So let me get the frunk plastic pieces put back in, everything buttoned up, and then we'll do kind of a walk around and some ending thoughts. Okay, so I have buttoned up the frunk, all the plastic pieces. I've just opened the car door, and it goes into that kind of like parking light mode, and you can see that the center light comes on when the parking light is on. Now, interestingly enough, I did use the flash function from my phone to have it flash the headlights. When it flashes the headlights, it does not flash that center light. So I'm going to go and of course now they've just gone out, I'm going to go in and manually turn on the headlights, and then we should see both headlights, the parking lights, and that center light come on as well. Okay, so I've gone inside the truck and I've told it just to turn on the parking lights. And you can see that the side parking lights are on, all right, as well as the main top of frunk light for parking lights. But now I'll go in and I'll press the button to turn on headlights. Okay, so now when I turn on headlights, then all of the lights come on. So the little marker lights, the either side of the actual headlights, and that center beam light. So that'll give you a good idea of what that looks like and how that operates. So it seems to be operating correctly. And by the way, that light's not really flickering. It is just the video, or the frames per second of the video, syncing with the light at times. So you can see it's actually fine. So this all seems to be working. Same issue over here. That light's not really flashing. Neither of those are. Oh, and look, now they're not. So just as the, again, I guess the frames per second happens to match the sync of the video. So anyway, this definitely does seem to be working. It's a stormy, rainy night. Maybe I'll go drive around a little bit just to see, if I notice. I don't know that this is going to put out a ton of additional light, but I guess in the center, it probably puts out a little bit more. Maybe consider it almost as a tiny auxiliary fog, if you will, but does give it a nice complete light strip across the bottom there. So again, I'd like to thank Teslaunch for sending this, and thankfully sending what seems to be the new version that does not interfere with the audio. Again, I have no hiss. We can go right inside and see, but other than it barking at me about the headlights, let's just go to auto. Again, I don't hear anything. Just if I sit here with no music playing and I crank the volume, like all the way up or something, I'm not getting any hiss or anything like that. When I play music, I'm just getting the music. I guess I should be playing some Halo music, shouldn't I? Let's try that out. Play Halo theme by Samuel Kem, which reminds me, I need to do a light show to this. Let's see what we've got. Something a little bit more appropriate for the Halo Cybertruck. And here we go. I'll turn this up. Again, rear camera looking good. Plenty of lightning out there. I'll shut us in. All the sound definitely appears to be working. getting that really ultimate bass drop that's in there. So that all looks good. You know, I don't think I ever got any update. Don't have my Grok yet, even though my Model 3 got the update and sadly has the Intel chipset. Oh well. I guess we'll just have to wait for Grok to maybe arrive by morning time or something. So anyway, again, I want to thank Teslaunch for sending this one. Install wasn't hard, just figuring out a few wiring issues, figuring out where a couple of things go and making sure all the connections were sound and checking everything first before I put everything all together. Because again, the last thing I wanted was really a version 1 product with a, you know, with a speaker hiss or problem like that. So this does seem to be solved. Again, I know I captured that sticker that was on the little box that goes down below by the ECU, so you can check versions on that for whichever one you buy. But I'm assuming if you buy from Teslaunch, you are going to get the latest and greatest version that no longer has the speaker hiss problem. I am going to disconnect here, clean up the garage a little bit, and then I will take the truck out in the rain and just drive around for a little bit, see if I hear anything strange. But so far, everything seems to be working as advertised and like it should. So again, this is Tesla Ken for the HaloCybertruck.com website. Once again, thanking our sponsor Teslaunch for providing this middle light bar for us, or the front bumper light bar, whatever. There's all sorts of names I see for this thing. In fact, in the directions said it was a Starlink light. And I'm like, I wonder if Elon knows it's a Starlink light. But I try to keep it the theme, right? So anyway, signing off. Please, please, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please do subscribe to our blog on the website. It does help us be able to do more reviews like this one. We hope you found this helpful. And as always, if you do have any questions, do feel free to reach out to me directly on the website. I do try to answer any of the messages or emails that come in, because I know people sometimes do have follow-up questions. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned.